What is up, fellow card fighters? This is Solo here, and I am going to talk about my new Narukami deck. And here we go. Ooh, let's start right away. First off, what you're seeing right here is my starter. Eradicator First Thunder Draco Kid. So what does this starter do? Well, pretty much, he's a forerunner, so which means that once you ride on top of it, he goes to wherever rear guard you want. And then, so pretty much what he does is
basically you retire something.
So you retire something. You got a grade 3 Vanguard
with Eradicate in his name.
Throw that shit into the soul, and then top 5 cards,
top 10,
top 10 cards. Pull one of these bad boys out
and ride
that shit.
And then you go effects go off, and then you get $1.
You get a million billion.
But that's only if you have a grade 3 already.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you do it.
Yeah.
But it could be also a sweep command already too.
It could be. Pretend it's a Vowing sword. It's better for the joint.
Okay, moving on.
Have you
We
ever
spent
used
too
that
much.
ability?
Whatever.
Ah, my face.
Moving on. Now, let's talk about triggers. 4 heals, obvious, obvi. And 4 draw triggers because I have issues with hand performance. But I was told, actually, funny thing, I used to run 8 draw triggers, but
that wasn't that funny.
8 draw triggers, but
I
found myself close to decking out a
And not
majority
winning.
of the time, so it was kind of dangerous playing with fire here. So 4 draw triggers is pretty much enough because, yeah, it's enough. But you can never have enough crits. So I run 8, if you can see. 4 of the Eradicators, because you need the Eradicators. It works well with the Eradicator deck. And just 4 Jins, because he's a cutie pie. I like him. Alright, so next up, let's talk about grade 1s. I run 2 Phoenixes. And he's really nice because... So, pretty much, some of the cards in my Eradicator deck give you Soul Charge. You could use some of that soul to use this guy's effect. So he's pretty nice. You get an extra draw card. It's not too bad. So, next up on our grade 1 roster list are 4 Steel-Blooded Eradicator Shukis. Now, his effect, what does he do? So, what happens is, whenever your opponent's rear guard, so front or rear, whenever your opponent's rear guard is retired by our card's effect. Now, it doesn't mean when it's attacked and it gets retired. It just means whenever a card's effect retires your opponent's rear guard. Then, this card gets a plus 3k. Cool. Alright, so let's just put up a scenario right here. This is your opponent's field, and this is your field. Silly, right? But let's just say that somehow you pulled off an effect where you retired this guy with a card effect, and this guy with your card effect. Now remember, I said plus 3, but since you retired 2, it gets a plus 6. Nifty, right? So the effects stack. Now, next up on our grade 1 are 4 of these guys. 4 of who? 4 of Eradicator Demolition Dragon. That's a mouthful to say. Now, he's pretty much a 10k attacker if you have an Eradicator Vanguard. So pretty much, if you have a Eradicator Vanguard and it attacks, this guy attacks, then he's a 10k pretty much. It's pretty chill. I run 4 of those. And then now, obviously, last but not least, 4 staple perfect shields. Can't really live without them. Now let's talk about grade 2s. I run 1, 2, 3, 4! 4! Eradicator Spark Rain Dragon. He's a 9k, but he's what people call a 12k attacker. When you have an Eradicator Vanguard, he's a 12k attacker. It's very nice for those 11k Vanguards. They're pretty nasty, so they help a lot. Now, next up on our grade 2 are 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of these 9k attackers. And his name is Fiendish Sword Eradicator Cho. When he's placed on a field, you choose an already placed rear guard. And that already placed rear guard will get sent to the soul. That's the cost you would have to pay in order to use his effect. Now, his effect is that once you pay the cost, then you retire a front row rear guard. Okay, so last up on our grade 2 are just vanilla 10Ks. They're pretty solid, pretty sturdy. No harm, no mess, no fuss, no effects. Alright, so grade 3s. Let's talk about grade 3s finally. 4. Vowing Sword. Eradicator. Vowing Sword Dragons. So I run 4 of these guys, and pretty much he's a break ride. So pretty much what that means is that if you have him as your Vanguard, and you have 4 damage, you ride on top of him, and what happens is that your current Vanguard now gets a plus 10k, and you get to choose a front rear guard to retire. That's the effect that gets pulled off when you break ride. And also, it's a secondary effect is that if your opponent has 3 damage or more, he gets a plus 2. Alright, so, finally, my bread and butter. 4 of these guys. Eradicator, Sweep, Command, Dragon. Now, let's talk about his secondary ability, because that's what is kind of important to talk about first. What his secondary ability is that when he's placed on Vanguard, then you choose a front row rear guard and then retire him by paying the cost of putting your own placed Eradicator rear guard into Soul. Once you pay that cost, then you can retire a front row rear guard.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about his primary ability. Let us talk about my bread and butter. I like bread and butter. And I like this card. And this card name is Eradicator Sweep Command Dragon. He's a dragon. And he is Eradicator Sweep Command Dragon. Now, when he's placed on the Vanguard, you had to put an already placed rear guard into Soul. And then, if you pay that cost, then you can retire whichever front rear guard. Your opponent's rear guard of your choosing. Now, his primary ability is Limit Break 4, and if your opponent's front rear guard is retired by one of your card's effect, then you may pay the cost, which is Counter Blast 2, Soul Blast 2, and if you do all of that, then you can retire another front rear guard. Draw a card, and that goes into your hand, and your Vanguard gets plus 5k. Alright, so now, you can also do this effect again, because it's an auto ability, and its auto ability requires that a front rear guard gets retired by an effect. So you can also do it again. But, even though there aren't, let's say that you already retired 2 of your opponent's front rear guards, you can still use its effect in order to get an extra draw and plus 5. Now that I'm done talking about my current roster, let's talk about combos and what you can do with my current deck that I have. So I paired these 2 guys up because, shall we say, they're pretty good butt buddies. And let me explain why that is so. So let's say that Vowing Sword is your current Vanguard. He's a break ride guy. So once you break ride on top of him, your current Vanguard gets plus 10, and you get to choose your opponent's front rear guard to retire. Now keep in mind that in order to use Sweep Command's primary effect, you need to get an opponent's front rear guard retired by an effect. So this works. So once you fulfilled that requirement, boom, plus 10k, boom, kill a front rear guard, then Limit Break 4 if you have Limit Break 4, and then Counter Blast 2, Soul 2, plus 5, draw a card. So boom, there's your combo right there. Current, Vanguard, place, boom, 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 boom. Simple enough? Cool. Let's talk about something else. So right now, this is my Vanguard right here. And you know what his primary effect does, because I've been babbling all about it. So, and this is our deck hand right here. Let's see what we pull. Oh, what? Chuo. So, what this guy does, you remember, right? Place him on the field once he's placed, and only once he's placed. Then, you choose, thank you, you can, once he's placed, and only once he's placed, you can pay the cost, which is put an Eradicator rear guard, which is already in your field, into your soul. And once that's done, kill a front rear guard. Now, once a front rear guard is killed, you can use your Vanguard's ability. Isn't that nifty? Alright, and I should be done talking right now. Thank you for bearing with me. Don't forget to like if this is your avatar, favorite if this is your avatar, or even share if this is your avatar. Take care, folks. Solo out.